it was probably the biggest wrestling conversation, and it I think it was Saturday the message first kicked off, but it's lasted all the way till last night at Dynamite, where for about 34 seconds, folks got to see a sight they normally see, Westside Gunn and Smoke DZA chilling ringside at the AEW Dynamite. I believe it was during the Falls Count Anywhere match between Adam Page and shout out Powerhouse Will Hobbs. I say it's a normal occurrence, but this week it was a statement because on Saturday morning, I felt like it was early. We was in the BRP chat talking about this. I was at the Walmart early. Westside Gunn officially announced that he's no longer doing any type of promoting or pushing of anything WWE anymore. He mentioned two specific instances, one being what I think a lot of people saw back in March was him getting removed from the Raw that was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
He had taken a photo of the ringside where his seat was, and then apparently minutes later he was being ushered out. And it wasn't in his message, and I've not seen anything where they've specifically said this is why Westside Gunn got removed from the show. But it seems like the real story is these apparent cease and desist letters that he got over the Heels Have Eyes EPs that he's dropped over months. Most of this year, he's dropped three EPs. They've kind of had a theme with the covers. It was the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase era. Some of them it was just Virgil. Some of them it was just Ted DiBiase. Folks should have seen the billboard that he had up in Times Square. You probably saw it because Ted DiBiase ended up reposting it on his socials. Something's telling me that it was some semblance of that happening. Not the billboard, but Ted DiBiase putting the billboard out there on Front Street. I think that's what alerted the people who may not normally be alerted. There's something we used to call, shout out Mercedes Monet, BRP used to call it the Sasha Banks effect. Was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
It was back there. It
was Thunderdome pandemic WWE, as a matter of fact, when we dropped the Nation of Domination crew necks. And Sasha Banks saw one, said, yo, I need that. Got hooked up, and she had it up on the social media.
She was wearing
in the ring.
She was wearing it in the ring,
and she had it like these, like she let you know what she had on.
Mm-hmm. Nigga, we was booming.
Entrepreneur and brother said, bloop, 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 bloop.
Sunday morning.
This is on sale.
And that was
back on sale now.
That was the push to get the rest of them out. And I feel like it was by the time that next show hit, we had to have our legal representation on, because we too got a letter saying, hey, we see you. But so I say that to say, I think, when I'm never you have to know how to operate when it comes to stuff that you don't own in these spaces. And I think, there's certain things you can do that may feel to them like you're flying too close to the sun. Clearly, because he changed the 3 covers plus the Still Praying cover that had Sid on it. That's now got Jeff Hardy on it. Somebody took that photo. He's got the 4th rope title and the TNA title up there. Are
we having a real conversation or a politically correct one?
I think we should have
politically correct.
A real conversation. I mean, because I think there's been a lot of the conversation I think has come about. It's been wrapped up into the WWE way of doing things, AEW way of doing things. I don't want to say tribalism, but I do think a lot of those feelings do bubble to the front when it comes to situations like this, because the people are immediately like, hey, fuck what they doing over there. We're riding with this. because of that and not because of the situation. So DDM, please be real. Please be real.
The reality is this. This to me is a situation of you are a fan of the product, and you got your feelings hurt because they look at it like a business, because they are a business.
Now more than ever.
The reality is this. Even when I did Gold Dust, I didn't use any wrestler pictures. I went and got my makeup done, put on my wig, and I took my own picture. Even if you look at Gold Dust on the cover, it has 2 exclamation points next to Gold Dust. Okay. Now, I did get a little savvy with the samples, but a lot of those samples are not WWE. They're from podcast interviews.
Right.
Okay. You cannot be mad at somebody for protecting their intellectual property. Now, they let this go for a long time, using them pictures and stuff. And any photographer, let's take WWE out of it.
Yeah.
Any photographer, when you buy pictures, you are buying the license to have a copy of that picture.
Yes.
In order to buy the rights to that picture to exploit for any use that you want, you have to pay for that. If you do not pay for that, the photo is not yours. Even if you yourself took the picture in it, if you're sitting for the photo, it is not yours. You have to pay for that. Now, do I think that they should have kicked him out of Raw after he paid for them seats? Absolutely not. So, but also, I don't know the full story behind that.
That's the main thing, is nobody knows the story. Nobody has come forward. Nobody, including Gunn, with the opportunity to, he showed images from it, but
video and everything.
We don't know. We never got a why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we already know WWE is never going to speak on it, right?
Yeah. Right. They our Kevin's mentioned the Greg Hamilton situation, which was from 3 years or 4 years ago at this point. I think it was October 2021 when he was barking about his voice being used in Westside Gunn stuff. But like our Kevin said, that was he got bounced out, and that's how we got Samantha Herman in there for a little bit. But that January, Griselda had posted that WWE had sent them takedowns of maybe about 3 or 5 tracks that they had up on YouTube, and 9 times out of 10 there was probably some type of snippet of audio of an entrance, or not a theme, but hell, on the last Heels Have Eyes EP, he had snippets of the time when Virgil got attacked by the dude with the Klan hood on in the Yami wrestling over in Vegas. He's been doing that since the beginning, though. It's something that has been his pro wrestling love turns into that, but you have to be aware of the ramifications of that copyright.
They can come at any time and do that, and that fair use thing, a lot of people like to hide behind fair use. Let me tell you something, and y'all gonna see DDM you rich. One of my attorneys is on the team to maintain the intellectual property to the Wizard of Oz. Okay, for MD. Okay, and that is as close to fair use as you're going to get.
Right.
Okay, you cannot. I know you coming, man, but you cannot. I see Sean Tragedy. You saying you support small businesses. You can support small businesses, but there's a such thing as intellectual property, copyright law, and the reality is, the issue is he is using WWE property to make money off of it, because you could say it's paying homage, but people are buying those mixtapes. They are buying, even if it streams and he's getting 0.01 cents, he's still getting some type of financial gain off of the intellectual property that he is using. I know we don't like, because it's WWE, we look at it as this big corporation, but that's just like if I'm a songwriter and somebody don't give me my songwriting credits, I'm not getting my points on the record.
These skills, that ain't got nothing to do with the law.
What you say?
No,
he reacted to chat.
Skill said I can't make some BRP hoodies and start selling them without Mav knocking on his door, and I said that ain't got nothing to do with the law. That's
yeah, ain't got shit to do with law.
Oh, Sean's trolling. Okay,
however, it's 100% true.
DDM, Sean said he's trolling.
I think what happened here is a couple of things. We got hit on 3 fronts. The one thing that's easy to see and it boils down to facts is the images and obviously something stopped them images being used. I, for one, don't feel like that might have been a catalyst, but when you see an interview with Wes and Dizza with Rosenberg and him showing niggas, I just spent $50,000 on 2 suites. Like, bro, I feel like we're at a point here where we have watched a WWE cuddle up 2 people to sell their product, right? And it ain't, and if you watch it with the podcasters, right, is it was, well, oh, who's popping, in the space, and we picked you because you picked us. And then when there isn't a use for you, they move on to what will serve them, like DDM said, as a business. And if you've watched, WWE they might have given him 1 or 2 lower thirds, and
he had an interview.
Was that NXT one time?
When he visited NXT December 2021, and he did I forget the woman's name, but he did a whole backstage interview, but it got removed when the takedowns hit that following January.
But to your point, fam, you're right. They usually use them. That was 2021. WWE wasn't at the boom yet. Okay, he was helping facilitate the boom. Okay, but when you dance with the devil, expect for your toes to catch fire.
And the only thing though, I feel like that stuff ended up not having any staying power because you consistently use imagery and iconography with Hitler and Chris Benoit involved.
And I don't get that. Like, why are you like, and that's another thing too. Let's take the wrestling out of it. I don't want to say idolizing, but you're constantly doing things with one man who was responsible for the genocide of minorities, Jewish people, all that, and then the other man killed his family.
Yeah, his whole thing was when he started that series. His whole thing was supposed to be a flip. He admitted that everything was supposed to be shocking, like he was trying to do the most shocking thing he could do or whatever. But it was also a flip of The Devil Wears Prada, and that was what he thought of as the flip, the most shocking thing, and it turned into shit. I mean, technically, there's like 13, but I think he stopped using the Hitler Wears Hermes as the title of the tapes and just called them 11, 12, 13, whatever the case may be.
I think this comes to, I'm sorry, Cal.
No, go ahead.
I think this comes to also to, and now this becomes a hip hop conversation. Somebody pointed out in the chat that hip hop uses, they take things and make it cool, make it better. That's true. But one of the things, and this is why hip hop has become so capitalistic and things like that. You see everything with a branding deal and stuff like that, is because for so many years this very situation happened. It was so many years how rappers made Cristal hot, rappers made Adidas hot, Run DMC made Adidas hot, was not getting paid off of that. This is, in fact, you're doing it backwards. People now get a brand deal for everything. You should have got the brand deal first before you started doing all of this. And as the bigger you got, here's my issue with this. As you got more bigger, and I'm not trying to flex here, but I remember being in the Rock Nation building to have my meeting. It was the same day that Benny the Butcher and all of them, I remember them pulling up in the Windstar. out front of Rock Nation to go sign their management deal. Okay? You are in Rock Nation. They are managing you. Why did nobody facilitate a deal? Why wasn't any of that done?
Yeah, I think because that's the one thing that I think has been it probably frustrated him, because I think there's a lot of right points here, and I think the one thing that we're kind of circling is he was probably a little too early in a situation where there wasn't there. I mean, I don't think there was a person in WWE who could have said, "Oh, Vince, whoever, this guy is the one you need to be following. We know he's not your Drake, he's not your whoever. He doesn't have the hit song that you want to make a WrestleMania theme, but culturally, and of the people who remember shit from these eras that were propping up as nostalgia, he's gonna be a particular voice." Like there was no space for him, and I think because of that, at a time where he was done with those deals and being independent, it became, let me take this fourth rope and turn it into a merch brand that turns into shows the weekends of these big WWE weekends, that turns into my own promotion. Let me operate with AEW and do theme music and play people out. Like, I think he's the way he is. I think he just likes creating, and that can and when you have the time and the ability to afford to throw a pro wrestling promotion and make merch and everything, those turn into fourth rope being the movement that it is. But it would have been ill if we were in a position where he could have, like you said, been able to establish a proper setup with WWE to say, bet.
Here's the thing, Cal. Mm-hmm. Also, too, if you look at the stars that WWE does ingratiate themselves with and that they get these deals with, they have big numbers. They are crossover. They're a certain level. I'm not trying to shade anybody's success, because I'm not, at Westside Gunn's level even when it comes to music. I'm willing to admit that. But you're not big enough for them to do that. And here's where having your business in order makes a difference. When you look at even these small indie acts who get promotion for doing NXT pay-per-view themes and things like that, these people, they're not as per se in the culture or in the zeitgeist as much as a Westside Gunn or a Griselda, but they have the business intact to have these deals. How many times have you seen this random act performing at a pay-per-view for NXT or whatever, and you're like, who the hell is this? You have to be able to make the decisions, the business decisions, and have the right things in place. And I'm saying all of this because I failed at it, and I know why I failed. Okay? You had the resources to do it. You still have the resource to do it, but you didn't. Also, too, the difference between you and probably Joe Schmo, who used WWE stuff, they didn't pay for a billboard in the middle of New York City, and they also don't have a wrestling promotion with stars from indie promotions on it. You have Enzo Amore holding your titles. You have the Hardy Boys holding your titles. You have something that, even though you're not in competition with them, WWE wants to stomp on everybody when it comes to wrestling. So you have too many things stacked against you that they say, bro, because also here's another thing. You have that wrestling promotion. If you keep being allowed to use our IP for your recordings and your music ventures, and you have this wrestling promotion that also could send a mixed message to the consumer that somehow, some way, you are properly affiliated and your promotion is affiliated with our company, and that is a no-no.
I wonder how much. I do wonder how much of that comes into play, because I mean it's competition. They're aligning with people, or they're counter programming. So
I don't think it takes that much to get seeded. Indeed,
we got seeded, but I also, the way that WWE has been rocking with TNA over the last year and change, I would have loved to have been like, all right, bet this is an easy way for fourth rope to kind of figure out a way to get in great, because it's not like it's that difficult. Gold Rush is going to be having NXT, AAA. You know, there's like 3 or 4 companies that are going to be having their titles defended. Like, I think these things can happen. There was likely a way that could have happened, but at this point, it's a wrap. Cover art's got changed. He said he rocks with him, but he's not doing it anymore. So.
Is there something to because the one thing that we've seen over the last 10 years is somewhat freer intermingling of brands, right? Remember we saw Jade and Naomi saw each other at the basketball game, like those sort of things. Those a lot of times are facilitated by like-minded artists. Oh, I'll fool Westside Gunn, Daniel Garcia be with that nigga. So like, it also feels like it's something where like WWE's like, I want to have control of every single thing, and I don't want you smaller guy to have the say over me. I want to have the say over you. I want to tell Logan Paul what he can do in my ring. I want to tell Bad Bunny I don't want them who, based upon their influence outside of what it is that they do professionally, I don't want you to use that to have say over my thing. I want you to come over here and do what we tell you because we can make some money together. You know what I'm saying?
Our Kevis, I don't think they dropped the title. What you saying, man?
Yo, as a child of hip hop, I get it. I get inside of hip hop, it's the thing where like, yo, you can use this shit for the greater good of hip hop without any repercussions. Get me on the back end. That's like black people in general. That's just how we operate. That over there ain't us. They don't operate like that.
Yeah, so Chris Breeze said they're not a mom and pop no more. It's a different situation entirely. Keep going.
Even when they were mom and pop, they weren't allowing this kind of shit.
Yeah, so we got to understand, mom and pop.
We got seed indeed. You just got to understand being somebody with that kind of cachet in this. I don't know what this is that we occupy. I don't know if it's the pro wrestling culture or whatever the fuck you wanna call this thing.
I think the use of that word is a whole nother conversation.
It is, but he's a big person in this thing that this space that we occupy. You know what I mean? So he should know better that this isn't hip hop. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense what I'm saying.
I think it 100% makes sense what you're saying, but as somebody who's also followed his career since before he was rapping, when he was just managing his brother, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
he's 5 years independent at this point. I think it was November 2020 when he told Joe Budden and them that he had fulfilled his shady obligations. Like, he's moving on his own, and he's able to. We talk about this a lot offline. Locks, Freddie Gibbs, Westside Gunn, and them. Like, it's being able to have a fan base that will buy your product without having to worry about a major label or direct to consumer. Like, that's worked well for him. He's able to make these moves that he's been making over the last 5 years. I think because of that, I think it's easier for him to say, you know what, I'm good. I'm gonna go do this on my own, and that makes it hard for the corporate people to feel like they could sit down with him, because honestly, Gunn could, if he was not feeling that something was right, he could get up and walk away, and there's no, like y'all was saying, there's nobody to answer to, because the phone number you got for the contact is his cell. You feel me? Like, I understand why, there might be a thought of he may not be as desirable as others. I wish it wasn't that way, because I do think that you're only there's an authenticity there with his appreciation for pro wrestling that is not matched by a lot of people. And he's like I said earlier, he was on Dynamite this week. He's not leaving this space at all. He's just going to be continuing to do it the way that he does it. Proud of me. So what's going on, Westside Gunn and Fourth Rope?
They're supposed to be doing Art Basel.
Yeah, they're going to be at WrestleCade. I think at the end of this month, or this month, they're going to be at Art Basel as well. Something like, I think the 28th. They're going to be at Art Basel in Miami, and I think they were saying Los Angeles.
Is it safe to fly?
You asking the wrong person.